Hello there, this is Mr. Rusty, and I've chosen to go ahead and do a random recording. I plan to do a series of random recordings and just cram them all together. It will not be a walk and talk, even though on some occasions, like right now, I am walking and talking. It will not be walk and talk number 5 or whatever it is I'm on right now. Whatever the next Roman numeral is in line, it doesn't matter, because this one does not count as a walk and talk. It's going to be a random recording collection. And I've decided that this is just something I'm going to try out, see how well it does, see if my audience grows. I've also decided that I'm not going to be as hard on myself when it comes to making the recordings. So if there's a moment where I pause, there's a moment where I'm not sure what to say, there's a tendency for me to delete the recording and start over. And sometimes the final cut, I end up leaving out something that I wanted to say. And unlike a blog where you can just, go back in and add a sentence or two, I basically have to create a whole another recording. Or maybe make a mental note to myself that, I need to mention that next time. But I've decided to go ahead and leave everything in. When it comes to the random recordings, I have also decided to start writing a script, whether that is in a notebook, on a notepad, on a note card, on the computer, or whatever. That way, with a script in hand, I can say everything I want to say, and if I want to say something else, I can add it. And also, I'll have an idea of what it is I want to say, and stick to the program. Be a way for me to be a little more professional. So I'm just kind of walking down the road. You can hear the cars, trucks, and motorcycles zooming on by. That's why I'm talking really loud into the microphone. But sometimes I talk real quiet in the microphone because I'm afraid I'm going to talk too loud in the microphone. Because sometimes I make a recording later in the day or later in the evening where some people are trying to rest. And, I try to be good and friendly and choose to remain calm. But you know what? I've decided that during the evening, if I feel the need to make a recording, that's not the time to make a recording. That's the time to write a script for the following day. That can be as loud as I want. But I was reminded how incredibly long editing videos takes with the programs that I have access to. It's the free stuff. Nothing wrong with using the free stuff if that's what you have. Maybe one day I'll upgrade my equipment. Maybe one day I will upgrade my editing programs. Maybe one day I'll have you know, the top of the line computer that will process things faster. But you know, I'm just using what I have, and that's fine. Just use what I have. Been losing quite a bit of weight as of late. I didn't totally cheat on my diet. The Jorge Cruz diet plans in the 100 book, you're entitled 25 to 75 less healthy carbohydrates. So I didn't go over the 75 limit. So I should still be able to lose weight just fine. However, the less healthy carbs is more ideal for eating the healthy vegetables and fruits and legumes and things of that nature. There really isn't much nutrition in chocolate, but you know, with Easter just around the corner, there's all kinds of Easter candy. Now, if you live alone, you're on your own, all by your lonesome, it is easy to control the situation of what food is brought into your house. But if you're living with other people, if you have friends who constantly come over and bring over little treats, if you have a boyfriend or girlfriend who likes to bring you little treats, well, it's a bit harder to control the situation. What I found is that if the candy is easily accessible on the table, that is when it is most tempting. But it is less tempting for me when it is in the cupboard. And I've been pretty good about just taking the treats and putting them in the cupboard. And then, you know, just let whoever bought the treats say, hey, your candy's in the cupboard. I don't like them on the table, because then it's a temptation for me. Maybe going against what I'm trying to do here. Nothing wrong with saying that. Anyway, this will be a series of random recordings and rants and talking about whatever I want to talk about. There might be some repeated stuff. Doesn't really matter. I'm just going to slam them all together. I'm not going to bother going through any extensive editing process with the audio. I'm going to leave all the clicky sounds in, and even if the audio is not that great, I'm going to keep it in. So go ahead, stay tuned. Keep listening. Yeah, all kinds of police cars. Wish I had my camera. Snap a few photos. Something's going on. It's cop cars. We're at a gas station, so either something bad happened, they're all just meeting up together to get donuts. One of the two. Yeah, I'm over today. I am over today. I was, you know, good and safe. track of things. And I went to a store to go buy a light bulb. Those little teeny refrigerator lights, because unfortunately the refrigerator light burn out. And I only need one. I think if I went to any other store, I'd have to buy 4. But I only need one. And as I was going through the checkout, they always have those wondrous and delicious treats. And normally I'm pretty good at staying away from those. But today I saw my favorite soda pop and I indulged. So I'm over today. But you know what? There's always tomorrow. And even though I'm over, I'm not over by a whole lot. So I think I'll be okay. Just having one cheat day is just fine, I think. In the past, when I'd have just one cheat day, I would still lose weight. So as long as I don't have any more cheat days this week, I will be okay, and I'll continue to lose weight. Feel great, and overall be more healthy. Just so you know, FYI, my favorite soda is a soda that was once called Mr. Pibb. It's a soda that was meant to go into direct competition with Dr. Pepper. I enjoy both, but I always preferred Mr. Pibb. So, I think it was probably 12 years ago, maybe more. They changed the name, and they also changed the taste. See, they basically changed the taste to something like, it was like more naturally flavored. It tasted kind of gross. But in other parts of the country, they had these taste tests, and people in other parts of the country really loved it. But they did that in kind of the southeastern portion of the United States, and those people loved it. But it didn't do very well in the western region. They made the mistake of not having any taste tests in any other parts of the country. So they changed the flavor without asking anybody else, just because certain parts of the country actually enjoyed it. They figured, oh, everybody will like it. Well, nope. It fell on its face in the western area here. And so they changed the flavor back to what Mr. Pibb is supposed to be, but they kept the name. And apparently, in certain parts of the country, they have the weird off flavor. And those individuals in that area, they for some reason enjoy the taste of the weird Pibb. But anyway, that's a little piece of pointless history for you. Some advice for anybody who is working in the food industry: just because something works in one state doesn't mean it's going to work everywhere else. And realistically, they should have just come out with a brand new flavor, a brand new name, and just called it that. It shouldn't even had the Pib name on it. It in no way tasted like Pib. It in no way tasted like Dr. Pepper, which is what it was supposed to be in direct competition with. So, not sure what the marketing, deal was over there at the company. Who makes this anyway? Yeah, Coca-Cola made this. Sometimes it's Pepsi, sometimes it's Coke, and sometimes it's a completely different company. I think Dr. Pepper is owned, they're not owned by Pepsi, but they're normally sold with Pepsi. It's kind of this weird partnership. So they're not actually owned by any of the major sodas companies. Dr. Pepper is its own soda company. And they also own 7-Up. So, anyway, I'm just rambling, so I'll just click this thing off until I think about some other random thing I want to say. Get that back. So last night I went ahead and added to the candy and the soda with some pizza and a whole bunch of it. So yesterday was definitely a cheat day. I didn't plan that to happen, but it did. With that said, I think it's better if you're going to have a cheat day to go ahead and plan it. Or if you don't plan it, to limit yourself. And you set that limit. Maybe have a cheat day once a week and say, you know what? Today it's going to be easier for me to have that cheat day. Maybe have a cheat day once every 2 weeks or once a month. However you want to do it, it's up to you, but just keep in mind that whatever limit you set for yourself, you keep it. You keep it the way that it is. If you want to have, once a week and then taper off to once every 2 weeks and eventually go to once a month, that's a good plan too. Personally, there have been times where I haven't had any cheat days at all for, about a month. There are other times, as I mentioned in previous recordings, sometimes you get thrown out of your routine because people visit or you're visiting somebody else. And it's easy to have a cheat day every single day, and that's when things go bad. And you're kind of reversing the whole purpose of going on the diet in the first place. So, a little something, a little advice, a little storytelling. This is one of many random recordings. I don't know how many of these I'm going to have before I just decide to compile them all together. So there might be a recording or more after this. Keep listening. Yeah, I thought about, combining all these recordings together and create the first, whatever it is I'm going to call this collection. But, I've yet to settle on a name. And also, I want to have it nice and long. See, there comes a time where if a video is long enough, it will actually receive the ability to have pre-roll ads. And you can actually even have mid-roll ads. I've never done a mid-roll ad because I thought the concept of a mid-roll ad was kind of dumb. But maybe I'll try it out one of these times. But I've had a pre-roll ad and I've had a post-roll ad. There's a little word of advice that I received from other YouTubers. It's for the sake of getting more ad exposure. If you have the ability to do ad rolls, to do a pre-roll ad and a post-roll ad. So after the video is done, they'll play another deal, another ad. I mean, the worst they can do is, click it off. But those ads are designed to really capture the attention and basically have a pretty good understanding of what they're advertising within the first second. And if they're really good, they have a whole bunch of stuff going on that your subconscious mind picks up on in less than a second. But that's part of the reason why they have that skip option. Part of the reason I'm doing these random recordings is I really don't know what to do with my channel now that I've reached a happy weight loss window. I do have other ambitions, other weight loss ambitions as well as fitness ambitions. However, ultimately, since I've reached my happy weight loss window, I really don't know that there's much need for me to really make recordings anymore. Unless I come up with a new idea, maybe I can start a whole new channel. Maybe I can put on a mask and use a voice changer too. And debate with other ranters who will go against whatever it is I'm ranting about. But even though they're brave enough to show their face on camera, I can be the masked man with a voice changer. And nobody will know who I really am. But I can still just, hide in the corner like a small little giggly child on the internet. Because they only know my persona. It's like the good old days of Yahoo Chat. Going to the chat room and you have all these snotty little kids pretending like they're tough. Because they go anywhere else. They can never say what they say in the chat room. The other kids would beat them up. But having a voice changer and a hidden face, you can say whatever you want. And you're protected because nobody knows who you are. The pure seriousness, though, of the individuals that I was poking fun at, they found a way to make money, even if it's a corny way to make money. Going out and kind of trick-or-treating every day, hiding their face. attract a lot of teenagers and a lot of really young adults. I'm really just kind of aware of these individuals. I started paying attention to them just because there was a whole bunch of drama going on with some of the other people that I subscribe to, so I was like, well, what's going on here? But these individuals, they feed off drama because they ran out of things to talk about. But I kind of feel like that is a place where I don't want to go. I don't want to be a ranter. I don't want to be a person that causes a lot of drama. I'll gladly debate somebody over low carb versus another style of diet. But ultimately, as long as the diet takes out the sugar, specifically the fructose, then you should be able to lose weight just fine. So if anybody can debate against that, I'll gladly listen to what they have to say. Low carb diets, and then there are no carb diets. The Jorge Cruz 100 diet is a low carb diet. You still get to have carbohydrates through the vegetables you consume, and there's also an allowance of 2 fruits per day, as well as an allowance of 25 cheat carbohydrates, which converts into being 100 sugar calories. So it's a low carb diet with options. And then there's other diets where you basically can't eat any vegetables or fruit because the whole purpose is to force the body into ketosis. Or I take that back. There's some fruits you can eat, as long as it's really high in fat. So you can eat avocados, and you can eat almonds, and anything that's high in fat naturally. Because you want to have a good ratio of fat and protein. And basically, the body is deprived of carbohydrates, and therefore there is no means of getting glycogen. And without glycogen as a fuel source that the muscles and other portions of the body will actually hunger for, it will force the body to alleviate itself of some fat because it starts burning fat as an energy source as opposed to the carbohydrates and the process that goes through to turn things into glycogen. There's a lot of debate whether this is a safe diet or not, but I think it is a safe diet. It's just the issue is that it's so restrictive that it's hard to stay on it completely. And in fact, the 100 is kind of hard for me to stay on all the time. But this is something I've been trying to do, or thinking about doing rather, for the sake of just shooting way down and losing way more weight than what I need to be at. Right now I'm where I need to be, but I want to be well below that. So that way if I gain a pound, I don't freak out. I can look at the scale and say, yeah, that's an awesome number. Because right now I'm stepping on the scale and I say, yeah, that's a good number. I'm where I need to be. But I want to be at that awesome number where I could gain 5 pounds and still be well under where I need to be. So, and aside from that, if I were to lose about 10 pounds, then I would weigh as much as I weighed when I was in high school. Or I should say when I graduated from high school. I was in weight training class. The PE teacher forced us to do a lot of cardio as well as weight training. So it was a well-balanced PE course. And I really switched up my diet to some degree, and I stopped eating all the really bad stuff, and yeah, I got down to the 140s, which is ideal for my height. Right now I'm at a weight where it is okay to be at for my height, but the ideal weight for me is the 140s. So if I can get back down to the 140s, I'll start having that outline of a six-pack again. Maybe that will be my new goal. Maybe I'll stop talking about the low-carb stuff, and maybe I'll start talking about what to do to have a more well-defined, toned body. I'm not looking to become a huge muscle head, but I'm looking to maybe have a really good toned body. But once all the fat's gone, that's pretty easy to do. Because there's quite a few people who they kind of earn six-pack abs through having a diet that really just takes care of the fat, so the muscles shine through. So I don't know, the ketosis thing is something I've been thinking about doing, but I might not do it. I haven't decided yet. So when I do decide if I'm going to do this or not, I'll let you know how hard it was if I do it, and if it was as successful, if not more successful, as the Jorge Cruz diet. So just keep listening. I do plan to have more recordings. A little bit of rain today. Sometimes it goes from quite a bit of rain to that weird misty drip drop rain, where the drops are little teeny tiny, but you can still see them. And then the raindrops become a little bit thicker, and there's more of them, and everything speeds up and it gets real good and annoying. Right now I don't mind it, but once it gets good and annoying, that's when I don't like it. I do have a runner's warm-up jacket and pants combination that I've had for years, and it keeps me pretty good and dry as long as it doesn't have a complete downpour. But if it's just a little drip drop rain, then I'm pretty good. But for all the years that I've had this set of clothing, I've gotten the most use out of it within the past 3 to 5 years. It's an excellent spring weather clothing to have on. But sometimes you don't know if it's going to rain or if it's going to be sunny. And it's light, so if it's a little bit chilly, it'll keep you warm, but if it's kind of warm, then it doesn't get too warm. But the times that you don't want to wear this type of clothes is when it's really hot in the summer, or when it's really cold in the winter. But I'll still bring along this little outfit or set of clothes, whatever you want to call it, regardless in the summer. If it's too hot, then I won't wear it, but depending on where you're at, sometimes the temperature can drop pretty quickly once the sun goes down, so and it has a hood, so it's excellent for moments of slight rain. Then I have another runner's set, jacket and matching pants, same deal, but it doesn't have a hood. So when I'm wearing that set, it's not, I feel like there's something missing, basically. There's no hood. And on days it starts raining when I wear that, I want a hood, but I don't have one, so just kind of have to deal with it. Just going for a walk, going for a stroll. I think I've been making these recordings for about 3 days now. Maybe more. It might be 4 days. I don't know. But, like I said in previous recordings, I'm going to just cram all these things together. And in the past, I would go through this process to try to get all the clicky sounds out. And I might phrase something the way that I didn't want to phrase it. Or I decide that whatever I was talking about wasn't really important, so I'd use my editing program to cut some things out. So that right there, when I kind of stumbled on the phrase, cut some things out, I would be annoyed by that, and I would cut that out. But this is just a random, uncut deal. Though I should say not completely uncut. There are moments where I will record and then I'll decide that I have no idea where I'm going with the recording, so I just get tired of it and I stop the recording and I just delete it. So maybe I should keep those in the future, because I really need to find another subject matter. And even though I've been making videos for about a year now, a little over a year, I've yet to really figure out all the features. So in the future, I'd have to figure out how to combine all the similar subjects together so they're easier to find. And that way I can just compile all the weight loss stuff into one. I have over 50 videos at this point, but not all of them are weight loss related. Most of them are. But I could go create a random recording section, and a walk and talk section as well. The walk and talks were not scripted, but I had an idea of what I wanted to say, and these are just completely random, where I really don't have a particular thing that I really want to say. There's really no point. There's no purpose. It's a collection of recordings that if you're listening thus far, you've come to find that it really is random. It's a show about nothing. Something I'll go ahead and borrow from Seinfeld. been off the air for quite a while, but I did appreciate during the football season during the Super Bowl, they had kind of a miniature portion of an episode with Jerry and George at their regular hangout. And Jason Alexandra, who plays George, he looked about the same. But then Jerry Seinfeld, it's like he totally aged, but you know, that's to be expected. So I think the show ended in '97, and at the time I was in junior high. So it was kind of a sad time because they were ending Seinfeld, and they were also ending Beavis and Butthead. So I remember watching the final episode. But then they brought it back a couple years ago for a while. And that was interesting to see some interviews with Mike Judge and how the reason that he ended it in the first place had nothing to do with all the controversies and anything else. Complaints with parents and stupid kids lighting stuff on fire and, you know, blaming it on Beavis and Butthead. That was the reason that I thought was behind them ending the show. But the true situation was that MTV was not really paying Mike Judge enough for the time and effort that he and his crew would put in. So he ended Beavis and Butthead, and then, you know, there was the Daria, which was the spin-off series with a slightly different style of animation. Daria wasn't, had a slightly different humor. But I don't think it was meant to really be funny. It was more of kind of an interesting show. It's supposed to be kind of like a 90210 Saved by the Bell type show, where they just took it into everyday life of a high school student who is kind of an outcast. She had a few friends, but then her other friends got along with some really popular people, so they were kind of in the in crowd, while Daria was not. So I kind of enjoyed the show mainly because I kind of saw a little bit of myself in Daria. She was kind of shy. Her hand-eye coordination wasn't the greatest. So it was always that dreaded moment of playing certain games in PE. And you had to participate in class, otherwise you wouldn't get the points for the day. And you keep doing that and you fail PE, which is, you know, how do you fail PE? I don't know. But I remember the opening scene of Daria. They actually had her playing volleyball, and the ball would come to her, and she wouldn't get it, and everybody was all angry and disappointed. Though I should say that Daria in that scene wasn't really trying. But for me, it was just kind of like I was trying my best, but I didn't quite get it. But then over time I got a little bit better, and I finally was one of the people who could make contact with the ball. I could finally serve the ball. It wasn't a good mean serve, but it was able to go over the net and everything. And to this day, I wouldn't say I'm good at volleyball, but I enjoy playing it. But I think if I wasn't forced to play volleyball in junior high, as well as the other rackets, well, volleyball is not a racket sport at all, but it's a net sport. It has some similar rules to racket sports. So we'd shift between various racket sports and volleyball, and the only unit that I really liked was the soccer. But even then I wasn't the best kid on the team. It was just, I remember playing soccer, Little League soccer, so I knew the basic rules, and it was just something I was comfortable with. Actually, the game we played was a game called Speedway, so it kind of combined soccer with football. And for those of you who are not American, you're saying soccer is football. But the deal was, you would kick the ball, and you could score a goal that way, or there are various techniques where you could lift the ball in the air with your feet. And you could have a teammate catch it, or you could catch it yourself, depending on how you kicked it up in the air. And then once it was up in the air, you could catch it and you could run with it. So it was kind of an interesting game. I enjoyed it, but it was always more fun to be on the winning team. So I was always the short kid. And it was always easier when you had a bunch of tall guys on the team. But I suppose being on a losing team, I will say, being on the losing team, everybody got a chance to handle the ball in some way, shape, or form. The winning team, there were a few people who were just totally awesome at playing soccer, or they're really into football, which, as mentioned before, Speedway was a combination of the two. So there'd be like 3 star players on the winning team who'd win it all, win the entire unit. But we were at a low budget school, so I mean, being the champion of PE for a certain sport didn't get you anything. I think they would just get a bunch of, I don't know what they would get, because they wouldn't, sometimes they'd give us candy, but at the same time they didn't want to give us candy because it was PE, and they're trying to promote good physical athleticism and good health. So anyway, I just kind of jumped around there. But yeah, what I was mentioning about the Seinfeld and Beavis and Butthead, they both kind of were over in 97, 98-ish, somewhere around there. And then Daria lasted a little bit longer, but he really just ended his contract with MTV, and he started up the King of the Hill, which I watched very regularly, but I don't know if I would have watched it had I not been a fan of some of the other works of Mike Judge. Anyway, I'm at my destination right now, so I thank you for listening thus far. Yahoo! The Mariners won their home opening game. All right. Batman and Robin. Sinestro and Hal Jordan. Batman brought on a sidekick who called himself Robin. But then Robin was tired of being the sidekick. He was tired of always being told what to do by Batman. He was definitely becoming an adult. He was an adult, but he was tired of being treated like a kid. So since he didn't see eye to eye, he went ahead and he said, you know what? I'm done with being your Robin. So he took off his costume, created his own different costume. It looks totally awesome, by the way. And he became Nightwing. He took everything he learned from his experiences with Batman and his experiences being Robin, and he applied it to being his new persona of Nightwing. And then we have Hal Jordan. He was the first human to become a Green Lantern. An alien fell down to Earth who happened to be part of something much bigger than Hal Jordan ever imagined. He's part of the Green Lantern Corps, which is kind of like a military police force that help keep certain portions of the universe safe. Well, when this alien died, the ring was supposed to go off his finger and go back to Oa, where the large Green Lantern is. That's the headquarters of the Green Lanterns. However, sometimes the ring will find somebody else with the correct characteristics to become a Green Lantern, and that ring went onto the finger, I should say. The ring went onto the finger of Hal Jordan, and he became a Green Lantern. Long story short, he eventually goes to Oa. Some Green Lanterns accepted him right away. Others thought that he shouldn't have ever become a Green Lantern, that maybe the ring was malfunctioning. One of the Green Lanterns he became acquainted with was a Green Lantern named Sinestro. Sinestro was kind of that bad cop who didn't always follow the rules. He was kind of like a Wyatt Earp who it came a point where he didn't believe in the justice system anymore, so he created his own justice. And Sinestro takes it a step further, where he basically felt that the Green Lanterns shouldn't just be this police force that aids in the development of certain portions of the universe. That the Green Lantern Corps should actually be in charge. They should run things. Everything should be in martial law. At that point, everybody should do what the Green Lanterns say, and if they don't, they will be punished severely. And everybody should fear and respect the Green Lanterns. This was a view that most other Green Lanterns didn't have. This was a view that the head Guardians also did not have. So Sinestro created his own lantern made out of a yellow element that actually had a strange effect on the Green Lantern's powers. It made it so that they were almost non-existent. And so, for that reason, that's why he chose the yellow element to create his lantern. And he created his power ring. and he had the desire to smash to pieces the Green Lantern on Oa, and to have it replaced by his new yellow Sinestro Lantern. He almost succeeded, but Hal Jordan, who really looked up to Sinestro, and up until the point where he created his own lantern and had desires to just, replace the Green Lantern with his own lantern, that's when Hal Jordan decided to have a full-on fallout. He didn't want to join the Sinestro Corps. He decided at that point to remain true to the cause of the Green Lanterns, and he fought against Sinestro, and he saved the Green Lantern Corps. I bring this up because last September, around the same time that I achieved my initial weight loss goal, I had my own Batman and Nightwing, my own Sinestro and Hal Jordan moment. Or I should say moments. And in both those cases, both Nightwing and Hal Jordan grew as a person, because there was a major disagreement, there was a falling out, and there was a time to stand up for what they believed in, and to continue with the goals and ambitions that they had, but they did it without the aid of the individual or individuals that they looked up to. And prior to the big fallout, both those individuals would have considered their mentors as friends, or maybe even like a fatherly figure, or almost like a brother, or like a family. But once some major changes occurred, that's when a falling out was likely to happen, and it did happen. And that's kind of my way of telling a story without telling the story. But that's kind of my situation since September. I unfortunately, due to stress, and I would just say mainly due to stress, it slammed the brakes on my ability to lose weight. Because stress can slow the process of weight loss due to having too much cortisol in the system. And also stress can cause a person to reach for those good old comfort foods. And even eating like toast has its own comforting effect. I will say, though, that on the 100, I can have a small amount of toast, if I choose to. But I can't have very much. But when the stress level is high, when the cortisol is just running non-stop, it seems, having those breads, having those candies, having those cakes and cookies just kind of helps melt away the stress to some degree. But it also puts a halt on the weight loss and can cause a bit of a weight gain. But I'm proud of myself. I only gained like 3 pounds over the holiday season, and I began to lose weight again in January. And now I'm within a happy weight window, but I do wish to lose some more and plan to. But I just thought I felt the need to tell a story, because for some people they can achieve the weight loss that I have achieved in a much lesser period of time. But I will say that I lost, like 13 pounds in less than 2 months. But it's just really hard to continue to lose, especially when somebody is stressed, and especially when, during the holiday season, the traditional holiday foods are always loaded with sugars and carbohydrates, and the whole purpose of going on a low-carb diet is really just to eliminate the sugar, or to reduce it a great deal. Because there are certain carbohydrates that are actually good and healthy, and they can be part of a balanced diet, but it's just that, unfortunately, the American diet has a tendency to hone in on certain carbohydrates that are not very healthy and will actually raise the blood sugar levels way too high and causes the good old friend and enemy, the frenemy, insulin, to come in, take care of that sugar, make the blood sugar levels down to a safer level. But while that's going on, the body is in fat storage mode. And that's the whole purpose of going on a low-carb diet, is to keep the blood sugar from spiking and to prevent the insulin from needing to come in. I'm sure I've said this before in other videos, and I'm sure I've probably said it in this random recording segment. But that's just kind of the story. That's why it took so long for me to get where I am now. If I would have been able to continue onward, and if I didn't have the unneeded stress from September on, I probably could have reached where I'm at now, I would say, before Thanksgiving. But again, stress happens. Life happens. But even with life and stress happening, it might take a little extra time, but you can achieve your weight loss goals. And you can achieve your other ambitions in life, and I wish you all the very best of luck with both your fitness goals and other ambitions in life. And thanks for listening thus far. I may make a recording or two more before I compile all this together into one recording. But thank you for listening, if you are still listening. So I just got done cutting a portion of the lawn. Did the bigger portion. But now this lawnmower doesn't want to start up, unfortunately. So I'm kind of allowing it to kind of chill out as I kind of chill out, so I don't get too frustrated with it. Sometimes you can start the baby up and it'll just go all day, and then other times you have to wait a little while and hope that it decides to start back up. It's an old lawnmower. I think we've had it for over 20 years, so it's really can't complain about it not being as good as it once was, but I mean, it still gets the job done. It's just, this is one of the few frustrations, is that it doesn't always start up when you want it to. I'm going to finish off the last of my little drink that I brought out with me, and then I'm going to try to start this baby up again. Yeah. It's an old Craftsman. Easy starting and quiet. Well, it's not quiet. It's maybe quieter than some of the earlier models, but it's quite loud. And when we first got it, it was easy to start up, but after about 20 years, it takes a while. The thing about cutting the lawn is whatever clothes I'm wearing. Well, actually, I have a set pair of clothes, really. I have a pair of pants that I always wear. Can get good and grass stained because they're old. And I have some gardening shoes, just some old canvas, some old Converse shoes. Actually, I got those for free. They're kind of ragged when I got them. And so it doesn't matter if they get all grass stained, and whatever shirt or jacket that I might be wearing at the time, it always ends up smelling like gas because of the fumes, as well as the fact that I usually fill up the gas tank. But it's more to do with the fumes, because I don't spill on myself when I fill up the gas tank. So I always have to make sure that I wash the jacket and shirt for sure. The pants, it doesn't really matter because they're the kind of the junky gardening pants, but I usually wash that too, though, unless I know that I'm going to do some more gardening work for a friend or other family or whatever, or if I know that there's something else that needs to be done out in the garden, then I go ahead and just keep the pants good and dirty. Alright, finished off my drink there. Let's try to give this another try. Now, let's check the gas tank, and the level looks pretty good and high. Well, it should start the way it is. I guess I can add a little more just to make it happy. Still recording? Okay. Okay, add a little bit of gas to it. Hit the priming button a few times. Hopefully it'll start this time. Sometimes the issue is that this nasty collection of grass underneath it gets kind of hardened. You have to scrape it off. I'm just using my hand right now, getting good and dirty. There's other models that actually has a hose hookup to help prevent this. Accidentally hitting the button, so I'm going to lock it in so I don't accidentally stop. Not that this really matters. There's a lot of crud. Really what I need to do is get like a gardening tool to kind of weed out. Wind closed the back door again. I need that open so I can go to the front. Hopefully that will remain open, and hopefully the lawnmower is happy enough with the little bit of gas that I gave it and the removal of the grass. Then it'll start up for me so I can finish the job. Now let's see what happens. Cross your fingers. Alright, looks like the job is pretty well done. It's going to be a weed eater, a weed whacker, or hedge trimmer, whatever you want to call it. It's going to be back here later, take care of some things, but at that point I might come back out here and mow up the grass clippings from that. But other than that, it's pretty well done here. So with all these recordings, I certainly hope that YouTube doesn't freak out on me and try to claim a dispute like they did with that little frog audio clip, which is still pending. Hopefully that screeching of the door they won't have issues with, and hopefully any music you may have heard coming from my headphones they won't freak out about. But I don't know that you could really hear anything except for the time when the lawnmower was off. I was listening to it was like a 3-disc set. It was on Irish music. I don't remember exactly what it's called. Actually, it's on my player right now, so I can tell you exactly what it is. Irish Favorites. I kind of think that they designed that disc set for a school teacher, because the first disc is a kind of happy songs, but has zero mention of alcohol at all. And then the other 2 discs are, some of them are kind of sad and depressing, and others are really upbeat, but they almost always talk about whiskey and beer and things of that nature. So I say it's for a school teacher because the school teacher can take disc 1 to class on St. Patrick's Day and play it for her students while they're working on their little projects or whatever. They're, like early elementary school, and part of the assignments were just kind of coloring and cutting things out with construction paper and making little posters and everything. The fun days. They can listen to disc 1 with her students, and then disc 2 and 3 are kind of meant for after she or he, I should say. It's not always sometimes there's a guy. But the other 2 discs are meant for the teacher to enjoy with their friends when they're out having fun on St. Patrick's Day, if they choose to do that. But I suppose it depends on what day St. Patrick's Day falls on for a school teacher. You don't want to come up to class hungover, of course, so I think a St. Patrick's Day for a school teacher might be listening to some Irish music and having a shamrock shake from McDonald's and maybe have a drink or 2, but then make sure that they don't get too carried away, or they might not drink at all. They just have that shamrock sundae, call it good. Or they might not even do that, because maybe they're on a diet, and a shamrock sundae is like pure sugar. So maybe St. Patrick's Day for them is just wearing a green dress if they're a girl, or a green suit, or a green shirt if they're a guy. But anyway, that's what I was listening to. This grass is good and green and good and cut. So I'm good for the day as far as the lawn is concerned. If there's something else I need to work on, then I'll do that. So thanks for listening thus far. I Don't know if this will be the last recording or not. Like I said, if I can make this good and long, I can have a pre-roll ad, and maybe I'll run my first ever mid-roll ad. Maybe I'll do it during a time where it doesn't really matter, like when I was mowing the lawn or something. I don't know. Will people actually listen to this all the way through? Probably not. At this point, if you're still listening, all I have to say is, that's cool. You're probably asleep. But if you're awake, you're probably zoning out. And if you're not doing either one of those, you are a very attentive person. And I congratulate you for your incredible amounts of focus. So until my next recording, have a wonderful day. Had the lock on. So I guess I can't end it. Now the lock's off. So thanks again for listening. Bye-bye. I have a video titled MrRusty366 Happy Weight Loss Low Carb. And in this video, I'm just mentioning the fact that I have lost 20 pounds doing low carb dieting. I'm holding in one hand the 100, which is authored by Jorge Cruz. But there are also plenty of interviews that he does with Gary Taubes, and he mentions Gary Taubes. And on the other hand, I am holding Good Calories, Bad Calories, which is a book written by Gary Taubes. And this particular video made its way to the Gary Taubes topic channel. The topic channel is a compilation of videos featuring Gary Taubes. It is auto-generated by YouTube. But I find it interesting that even though I never specifically mentioned the name of Gary Taubes in the video that they selected of me, that I'm in there, which I don't complain about. I mean, I might get a few extra views from that. I might even get a few extra subscribers from that, and that's cool, I guess. But I just found it funny that they chose to have that video selected when I have plenty of other videos where I specifically mention Gary Taubes, and I quote from his book, but that one didn't go in. But I don't know how I was selected. I don't know if it was just kind of auto placed or what the deal is, but I don't know. It's all good. I don't know why I mention it, other than the fact that I just think it's kind of interesting that I was placed in here. This is Mr. Rusty, thanking you for listening to the randomness of these recordings. I have chosen for this particular recording to be the final recording of this collection. I may choose to do a volume 2 in the future, but even if I do not, please do stay tuned for other videos as well as blog entries in the future. I wish you the very best of luck with your personal weight loss goals, as well as other ambitions in life. Have yourself a wonderful day. Bye-bye.